Hey guys, it's Josh from Team of Messina Gates, and I'm bringing you my Drytron deck profile. And I took this deck to my locals. They had a box tournament, and I went undefeated. We had 4 rounds of Swiss and then top cut, so went 6-0 the whole thing. And fun fact, didn't win a single dice roll in Swiss. So deck performed good, you could say, but without further ado, I'll go ahead and hop on into it. Not gonna waste your time, but yeah. So run 3 alpha, 3 zeta, the 1 gamma, and the 1 delta. Um, I feel like these 8 were perfect for me. There's so many ways to search Drytrons. And I think the only ones that you really need to play multiples of is Alpha and Zeta, just because they both act as a starter in their own right. Because Alpha gets you into the ritual monsters, Zeta gets you into the ritual spell. And don't get me wrong, Gamma is like super important. If you were gonna play multiples one, I think that Gamma would be the one. I mean, yeah, you don't really necessarily want to open it, but it also helps if one gets banished, and like a lot of times it will get banished because there's things like Cycle Reader and stuff like that. But honestly, I chose to only run one just because I feel like if you get Cycle Reader at the right time, chances are you're not winning the game anyway. But yeah, these 8 were perfectly fine for me. Didn't really see an issue with them. I mean, yeah, there were times where I didn't open Drytrons, but the chances are so low that it rarely ever happens. But when it does happen, you usually have hand traps and stuff to back yourself up to kind of buy yourself a turn. But going into the heart and soul of the deck, we have 3 Ben 10. Then the secondary heart and soul of the deck going second is Natasha. And then lastly, your boss monster, Herald of Ultimateness. Ben 10 is self-explanatory, searches you all your fairies, all the Drytrons contributed, plus city. So next is Natasha. Natasha's crazy. Still monsters, gain life for time purposes, and then it also can negate attacks, and sometimes that comes up because people don't read it all the time. But yeah, nothing's once per turn. Everyone knows that, and yeah, like there probably think about 2 or 3 times a day. I literally just won because I just dug for Natasha when we went into time, and then I just used Natasha's effect to gain life and win from there. And Ultimateness, best boss monster in my opinion for the deck. I don't like Vanities because Vanities is only good game 1 going first, in my opinion. Don't get me wrong, it's like an auto win button, but at the same time, I feel like Ultimateness is literally the same because worst case scenario, this is orange light fodder, and it also you can use it for your Drytron tributes. And then Ultimateness plus Eva is like 3 negates just on its own, so that is also pretty strong. So being able to have three negations just from 2 cards essentially is just pretty good. And then moving on, we got the Manju, and like I said, I don't run Vanities because I feel like Manju is just the better normal summon in my opinion. Manju lets you completely combo sometimes with just one Drytron name, whereas the Vanities version, you typically can't do that because then you'd have to waste your normal summon on your Manju that you run there. But this, you want a normal summon Manju, so it's not a bad thing. Manju can get you the ritual spell sometimes when you don't have access to it. It's just pretty good. And then we run the Dawn Knight. You gotta run it. It's part of the combo piece. It's kind of a brick, but you can also set it sometimes going second. They destroy it. You get a Drytron name that way, or if you're really desperate, you can crash it into something, dies. Get another name. Then we run the Petite and the Eva. I run Petite over Purple Light because I'm playing the Ultimates variant, and I feel like if you're playing the Vanities variant, you should probably run Purple Light. But I just think that in this variant, Petite's way better because it guarantees follow up, and it puts your opponent kind of like on a sense of urgency, because if you search this in the Orange Light, they know that if they don't at least bait out a couple more negates or something, like even if you get Droplet or something, you still have like Orange Light plus Eva in hand. Discard this to negate one thing, and then you kind of force your opponent into making another play that forces you to negate something, because if they don't, you just have full follow up with normaling this and guiding Binten. So that's kind of the theory with this running it petite over purple. Then the hand traps, obviously we're gonna run the 3 orange light, basically built-in gamma for the deck. Yeah, self-explanatory, negates, monster effects. The amount of times I negated Nibiru with this was just crazy. Also, just like drawing this plus like any fairy and like your opening hand is like still pretty good, because like going second gives you a way to combo, and then just having an inherent way to out calamities is also nice, just because like against virtual world, you can a lot of times you can just like, if they don't like make gossip chatter or something, a lot of times you can just like let them do their play, see what they end on, and you know the chances are like your next card may be the orange light that you need to negate for the calamities, and then you just play from there. And then we also ran 3 Ash. Ash is just hits everything, kind of universal. And then lastly, I decided to play 2 Ghost Spells. Ghost Spell was fine, it was alright, but the main reason why I play Ghost Spell is just because it stops Cycle Reader, and I feel like that's the main reason for playing this over Skullmeister in this deck, just because you can stop Cycle Reader, and Cycle Reader just like destroys this deck, so having a way to stop it in the form of a hand trap is nice. Also, like, I guess like games like in game 1, you could probably like main deck these and turn these into Skullmeisters, because Skullmeisters does hit more, but games 2 and 3 you should definitely have these in just to be prepared for the Cycle Readers. So that's kind of the theory behind the Ghost Spells over the Skullmeisters, at least for this one. But going forward, I would probably run Skullmeisters in the main deck and just side deck the Ghost Spells. Then lastly, we have, let's see, well, moving to the spells, I should say. We got 3 Fafnir, 3 Nova, and the 1 Ritual spell. You only need 1 Ritual spell. A lot of times, games 2 and 3, I do actually side a second copy. And that second copy is really only if I play against Shaddolls, because Aerial's crazy, and if they Aerial this away, you're kind of screwed. So, I mean, having that second copy kind of catches the Shadow players off guard. I didn't play any Shadows, but that's kind of like the reasoning behind, you know, that. But I think main decking 1 is fine. I don't think you need 2 in the main deck, unless you're really scared about it getting banished. But, you know, 3 Novas, self-explanatory, and then Fafnirs, 3 of those. Games 2 and 3, I typically side out 2 Fafnirs, just because like it loses harder to draw. The only time where I may leave 2 in is if I'm going first against Virtual World, just because like the field spell disruption to lower level actually like comes up really like a lot in that matchup, and it actually comes in really clutch. Just like lower Lulu to level 2, and then like just watch your opponent kind of squirm a little. Never did that, unfortunately, but you know, I only played 1 Virtual World, but I didn't have it on board or when I went first. But that's kind of the thought process behind leaving another copy of that in when you're side decking against Virtual World. Then we have 3 Cyber Emergency, just ways to more Drytrons. I only played 2 prep because, like I said, a lot of times I end up siding a prep out. Like if I know I'm going second, I just feel like you don't need more. Don't get me wrong, it's more copies of Ben 10, but like I feel like games 2 and 3 you'd rather just have like a better card, but because like, you know, once again you're just not trying to lose the Droll. Then for the last one of those, we Call by the Grave, we're stopping Droll. Instant Fusion, like I said, trying to stop Droll. Never actually used this card at all this weekend, but the theory is like some of the Millennium Eyes you play through your turn out. I sided out every like game 3, I think, where it was getting close to time. I just took this out because there's no need to pay 1,000. Even if you do have Natasha, there's really no need to even like keep this in. And then lastly, Foolish Barrier, once again, just another copy of a Drytron. And also sometimes you can do some kind of funny things with it, where like you can like use this in Herald of Ultimateness. Like if you don't have a way to get to it, you can like Foolish Burial for Ultimateness. That way you can ritual summon it out from the graveyard. Didn't actually do that, but that's also like another way that Foolish can be used as utility in this deck. Now moving on to the extra deck. Pretty standard starting off anyway. Like just Link Rebo, the Anima. You can turn these into the Union Carrier. It's kind of the thought process from that. And also there's like the rare occasion where you sometimes might steal something with Anima. I haven't really done it, but there's also Mirage Lights. Summoned this against, played Guru twice, once in Swiss and then the same person again in Top Cut in the finals. I made this in the finals and it was fine. It was okay. Was able to use it to negate. You can add you back, bin 10s and stuff like that. A lot of people have cut in this. I mean, you don't necessarily need it, but I like it. It's just another form of utility, way to recycle. Then we run IP. I summoned it a lot. Just another piece you can end on sometimes if you don't want to go for Mirage Lights or don't have the material for Mirage Lights, you just go to an IP. And IP plus Ultimateness is still pretty good because like even if they like droplets you can IP because a lot of if they want to droplets this, you're fine with that because they essentially blow 3 cards on stopping your board, and that leaves them with like 3 to play with, and if they hand trapped you, only 2 to play with, so you're completely fine with that. And then we run the Nightmare package. I summoned every single one of these. They were all good. I think that's part of the power of the deck's ability to go second. Just being able to destroy monsters. Short of Zeus one time, force out Zeus. You can force out back row and then just shuffling stuff back. And then Link 4 is Boral Sword. Summoned Boral Sword a lot. Made access code a couple times. But yeah, the theory is like you go through all like your nightmares and then just link into access code talker. You typically go to access code talker when you're Natashing their board away. So you just make all these nightmares and then Natasha while you're Natasha the board, and then just link into access code. And all meanwhile you're just gaining life. There was also if you, it can come up to where you can use like Cerberus and Phoenix to go into a Union Carrier. Like that is a play you could do. Like if you're breaking a board and then you can start playing, you just do that. But that's it for the Link 4s. Now moving on to the XZs, we played the Lyrillist, the Fucho, the Downer, the Zeus, and then lastly just Millennium Eyes. These guys kind of self-explanatory. This gets you into Zeus. This just adds another material. This is for if you get Drolled and if you have 2 Drytrons, you can just make it. Some people are replacing this with Appaloosa, but sometimes you don't have enough materials to make Appaloosa, but usually you have enough to make this. So this just buys you a turn, whereas Appaloosa just kind of serves as 4 negates, I guess, at the bare minimum, but it also loses them more, whereas this is just unaffected by everything and buys you a turn. So I don't know. I guess it's preference at that point. And then like I said, Millennium Eyes off Instant Fusion, but I never summoned it because I never saw Instant Fusion. So there's that. And then your side deck, this is what I sided. You feel free to side whatever you want for your locals. I sided 3 Lancia, the Red Reboot, the Harpy's Feather Duster, and the Twins. Lancia, Virtual World, Dinos, random stuff. I guess in theory you could stop ABC stuff, L-Lich stuff, but I don't know. And then, general back row hate. Then Drolls for the mirror. You want to beat the mirror. It's also decent against Virtual World, I guess, but not necessarily needed. But yeah, it's fine. It hits. Also played against Heroes in round 1, and Droll was just crazy against that deck because that deck does kind of get hit by Droll pretty hard. Same like this deck. If I get hit with Droll, usually 90% of the time I'm passing unless I decide to make Fucho or if I can make it. But a lot of times I'm passing. Then we got double Nibiru. You can side this in against Virtual World. Hits a lot of things. Can be useful against Heroes and stuff. Just a lot of things. Not really. Some people don't really respect Nibiru sometimes, but it's fine. I think 2's fine. I don't need 3. Then double Dark Ruler. The theory behind this is sometimes you can it's not. I don't have droplets, so these could be 2 droplets. But I decided on Dark Ruler because it essentially does the same thing. It just changes the way you play a little bit. Whereas with droplets, you can still go pusher and OTK them. Whereas with Dark Ruler, say if they have a board full of negates, you just Dark Ruler them and then you get to your Natasha sooner. And you do the same plays, except you you leave their negates on your board, so that way you just use their own negates and their cards against them. You can like Dark Ruler Dragoon and then just Natasha take the Dragoon, and then you have a Dragoon live for your turn. So never did that, but that's kind of like a theory. And then lastly, the second ritual spell, I don't think I ever slotted it in, but this could have been like anything else, like an extra Nibiru, extra Dark Ruler, another Twin Twister, whichever. But yeah, the theory behind this was, you know, just deciding if I played against Shadows, just in case they would banish one, I'd have the second. But that's going to do it for this deck profile. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. And until next time, guys, peace.